Once again, it's Political Empire time. For the Press Enterprise and PE.com, I'm politics editor John Bender. The head scratcher of the week came when a Murrieta councilman, Harry Ramos, bragged about having bought guns at the same time that most of the people were horrified by the shooting rampage in Newtown, Connecticut. Ramos, he was elected in November. He mentioned his purchases during the governing body announcements portion of the meeting. Talked about how he bought his and her firearms for his wife and himself. He didn't mention the shootings or the resulting call for more gun control, and many people are wondering why he picked that time to discuss his gun purchases. In the last segment, Riverside County reporter Jeff Horseman ran down numbers 10 through 6 in the top 10 political stories of the past year. And today we're going to go through the rest of them. Jeff, what's number 5?
Number 5 is the end of an era with Riverside Mayor Lon Loveridge retiring. He had been in elected office for 32 years. It kind of become almost the face of the city, and he decided that he didn't want to run for another term, and so we had a whole bunch of candidates, and Rusty Bailey, the councilman, ultimately came out on top, and so he is the new mayor.
I think Rusty is also thinking about a dynasty.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, if you follow Alicia Robinson's blog, and I think she's mentioned it on Political Empire as well, I mean, he's relatively young. He's got a young family. He's a government teacher, and so who knows? Maybe we'll be talking about the Rusty Bailey era after 30 years.
Okay. And number 4.
Number 4, we decided was how the Latino vote this election, you really saw it become powerful. You had groups such as Mi Familia Vota going out, registering Latinos, and it made a difference. We think it made a difference in the Bono Mac-Ruiz race where Manny Bono Mac lost, and this might be the election, the first election in the Inland Empire where we talk about the power of the Latino vote going forward.
I think you're right. I think we're going to see a lot from that group. And number 3.
Number 3, this made national headlines. The city of San Bernardino filing for bankruptcy. They've obviously had their share of troubles over the year with the economy. Another reason given was the pension obligations to the unions. And so they took the unusual and pretty drastic step of seeking bankruptcy protection. They're still fairly early on in that process, but it's going to have consequences for the way the city is going to operate and what it's going to have money to spend on in the next few years.
And number 2, our congressional delegation has completely changed. Tell us what happened.
That is true. We are losing about 6 decades worth of experience on Capitol Hill. We have Jerry Lewis, who retired rather than seek another office, so he's a longtime congressman who's no longer going to be representing us. Joe Baca, a Democrat from Rialto, who did run for re-election, lost, and interesting enough, lost to a Democrat because of the way the primary system works now. He and Gloria McLeod finished 1-2 in the June primary, and so they went at it for that seat, and Baca lost. And also losing was, as we mentioned, Mary Bono Mac. She served 14 years in Congress representing the Palm Springs area, and she lost to Democrat Raul Ruiz in a particularly nasty campaign. And so we're going to have a lot of new faces, but at the same time, it's going to be interesting because, seniority counts in Washington.
Well, we've heard numbers 2 through 10. What's the top political story of the year?
The top political story, I have to say, is how the red inland area started taking on maybe a shade of blue. Democrats did very, very well this election season, from Barack Obama winning Riverside and San Bernardino counties again, to we saw Richard Roth win a very hotly contested Senate matchup with Jeff Miller. Jose Medina won an assembly seat against Republican Bill Beatty. As we mentioned, Ruiz won. Takano, absolutely. And so, the significance of this is, you might see Democrats, being encouraged and saying, looking at the Inland Empire saying, hey, we can win there. We ought to spend money there. We ought to put resources. And so, whereas before they might have kind of taken for granted that the Republicans were going to be representing this area, and the Republicans, I mean, they're not going away. We still got a significant, Republican presence, particularly in Southwest Riverside County. But what it might mean is going forward, you're going to start to see, more ads, more mailers, and just more competitive races because the Democrats see an opportunity here.
Thanks, Jeff. And I know earlier you mentioned that if people don't agree with your picks, they can write you. What was that address?
It is, my email is jhorseman@pe.com. That's JHOR, S as in Sam, E, M as in Michael, AN, @pe.com. I'd love to hear from you.
Let's keep this discussion going. Send Jeff a note if you disagree. For the Press Enterprise and PE.com, I'm John Bender. Thanks again.